Hey, welcome inside our Los Angeles studios. It's going to be a good one, not only because I get to say howdy, partner, to our friend Tim MacMahon, but because 2016 champ Iman Shumpert is in the house. Iman, welcome to NBA Today.
Thank y'all for having me.
You ready for this? It's going to be a fun show. You get to spend the rest of the week with us, and around these parts, when Shams breaks news right before, that is exactly where we start our show. Let's say hello to our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, you reported this morning that finally the Suns and Bradley Beal, they have agreed to a contract buyout. Now he's headed to Los Angeles. What are the details of this deal with the Clippers?
Malika, I'm told Bradley Beal gave up almost $14 million to buy out of the Phoenix Suns and join the Los Angeles Clippers. 2 years, $11 million. His deal will have a player option next summer, so he's slated to be one of the top free agents next offseason. But this is someone that had $110 million left on his contract over the next 2 years. Obviously, did not work out in Phoenix. It was a failed 2-year experiment with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. And so over the last few weeks, Bradley Beal, his representative Mark Bartelstein, they've been talking and meeting with several teams around the league. Aside from the Clippers, we've seen the Bucks, the Lakers, Warriors, Timberwolves, Heat, all were involved here in this process. But Bradley Beal this morning decided to sign with the Clippers and team up with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden.
The Bucks, the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and yet the Los Angeles Clippers, Shams, are the team that prevails here. What was so attractive to Bradley Beal about joining LA?
Here's something interesting. I'm told James Harden was a focal point in recruiting Bradley Beal internally, but also speaking directly to Beal and his camp. And the Clippers really view Bradley Beal as a perfect fit alongside Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, being able to shoot 50% from the field, 40% from three-point range last season. He shot career highs in two-point field goals as well as at the rim last season. And so this is a player that has 3-time All-Star experience. He's a former All-NBA player as well. They see him as a natural, seamless fit at the starting shooting guard position after the trade of Norman Powell. Yeah,
it's sort of a clear role that he slots into for the Los Angeles Clippers. Shams, thank you so very much for that insight as we bring it back here inside our studios. Iman, do you like this move here for Los Angeles?
I like the move just because I enjoy watching Bradley Beal play basketball.
Right.
Of course, you know. But I am at the point now where I'm looking at it how you would look at a James Harden, how you would look at a Paul George, where we're saying, where do you take your team? What do you add to your team at this point, especially with you getting older? Now we have some injuries that come along. What can you add to this team and what's going to put me over the hump come playoff time? When I look at Bradley Beal, I feel like these are pressure situations because now we've paired you up with different superstars and we kind of got the same result. So you start looking around the league and you start looking for that younger guy. You don't want to become that guy that it's like, he's got the years, he's got the mileage on him, but we can't really get anything out of him. You got to produce, and you got to produce it efficiently if you're going to come and join superstars like that.
Look, the Norm Powell trade is now complete. The Clippers make that deal confident that they can get Bradley Beal, who, at franchise player money, at $50 million plus per year, it was a disaster in Phoenix. It was also a bad fit in Phoenix. He's being paid ninth man money now with the Clippers. There is a clear-cut role. They've got a great defensive infrastructure around him. This is the best team in LA getting better. This is a team that pushed the Denver Nuggets to 7 games in the first round that got significantly better today. And I think he is a great fit as a guy who, look, it didn't work in Phoenix, but he averaged 18 points per game for the Suns. 50, 40, 80. He can still put the ball in the hole. And I just think he's a much better fit with the Clippers and a much better contract, obviously, for the Clippers than it was in Phoenix.
It seems like it all comes down to the value here for Bradley Beal. It's not just the player that he is, but the value that they're getting him at. And it's very, very different looking at him on this contract than you were on the contract necessarily with the Phoenix Suns here. What is it that he can show you? You said you were all fans of Bradley Beal, of watching him play here. But what do you need to see from him to answer that question that you're asking? Because it's a fair one.
Understanding that you're coming to play with James Harden. Understanding how we're going to space this floor, how am I going to help him at the end of games when I feel like the indecisiveness comes in, the 3 minutes of no scoring happening, not being able to get certain mismatches on the other end. So now you're going to have to be able to step up and guard somebody you weren't normally going to guard. Like, those are the things that you have to come and do alongside a James Harden and a Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi Leonard can't go out there and guard the head of the snake, can you come out there and guard the head of the snake? I want him to be able to insert himself in a different way, and it's not a bad pressure at all.
Yeah.
This could be a great pressure for Bradley Beal. This could be a great spot for him. Like you were saying, I love that he's, getting this done. You're getting this done for cheap. You know what I'm saying? You're getting superstar quality for cheap. I understand he's not a rock star in this league anymore, but he's been there. He's been to the show, and he's been in a playoff battle. So you want to see him come enjoy the team. I don't want him to fall into those things where in the playoffs, I'm not really worried about a Bradley Beal.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want that to be the consensus across the league of, if we see Bradley Beal, we're not worried about him in the playoffs.
When you say play with James Harden, I think that is a plus here. People think of James Harden, they think of Houston Rockets James Harden. They think of he's got the ball in his hands all the time. He's scoring 35 points per game. James Harden's game has evolved. He is now one of the best table-setting point guards in the NBA. And I think you look at what Norm Powell was able to do for the Clippers last year, credit him. He obviously had probably the best year of his career. I think playing with James Harden really benefited Norm Powell, and they didn't have that table setter in Phoenix. I think Beal is in a great situation because he's playing next to James Harden.
Real quick, on the Phoenix side of all of this achieves more flexibility for them here, Tim?
They have a shovel, and they are digging out of the massive hole that they have created during the microwave Matt Ishbia era. No, I'm not kidding.
A second apron team here to a luxury tax team.
Sure.
Able to have a little bit more flexibility.
The KD trade was a bust for them. They took back, I'll say nickels on the dollar. I won't say pennies on the dollar. They're letting Beal go for nothing. Yes, they're getting some flexibility, but he's going to count $19 million a year on their cap for 5 years moving forward. But this is a recognition in Phoenix that their all in philosophy is a failure. And again, they have a shovel. They are starting to dig out of the hole that they've created.
And they're saying, all right, we're going to continue to build here around Devin Booker, and we're going to officially now close this chapter because we've been expecting this for weeks, and finally we have a resolution for Bradley Beal heading to the Los Angeles Clippers. All right, from the news of the day to the game. Our top story today, three-time NBA All-Star Bradley Beal has agreed to a contract buyout with the Phoenix Suns, and he is planning, according to our Shams Charania, to join the Los Angeles Clippers on a 2-year deal for $11 million. That second year is a player option. So Bradley Beal on his way here to the Los Angeles Clippers. And let's just take a look here at the Clippers' potential rotation here. Bobby Marks, looking at this, does this signal to you that the Clippers are done? Is there another move that they could make?
They're not done, and I think when you look at this Clippers roster, there's a 40-year-old point guard out there, Malika, who played all 82 games and can still play at a high level, and I think Chris Paul would be the perfect fit for this Clippers roster. Now, they only have the veteran minimum exception out there to go sign Chris, but certainly it would be a reunion as far as returning to the Clippers here. Would certainly provide backcourt depth to a Clippers team that, yes, you had Bradley Beal, but I do think they're still a little bit thin in that backcourt.
Is it out of the question that Chris Paul could return to Phoenix here, Bobby?
I think Phoenix is going in that youth movement here. I don't see a fit where Chris Paul is. Certainly what the Phoenix has been able to do with the draft, Colin Malowach, and certainly Jalen Green, and I know they went out and got Dylan Brooks here, but if there is an opening at point guard, I just think Phoenix is going in a different direction than where the Clippers are right now.
Well, it seems like Chris Paul is one of those last remaining big players here on the board. I'm really interested to see where he ends up headed. Mr. Marks, we always appreciate you taking the time to stop by NBA Today. Tonight, though, the ESPYs, they are happening here in Los Angeles. The breakthrough player for the 2026 season. Who are you looking to hand this NBA Todaysies to? It's easy to say.
Oh, I'm looking in the crystal ball, and I'm saying Iman Thompson. Amen.
Amen Thompson's from Iman Shumpert.
My bad.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think that he has incredible gifts as a young talent. But I think that he reminds me so much of the gifts that I saw Andrew Wiggins have, where it's like you don't even know why you're that good yet. And the scary thing about Amen Thompson is he has that mean streak, and he has that that grit and that I'll dive in the cameras. I didn't see that in Andrew Wiggins, and it's no knock to Drew. It's just when you see a different caliber of that dog energy. I'm excited to see what happens next to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, it's been a heck of an offseason for the Houston Rockets as well. Really all right, out in Vegas, Bobby, let's look into your crystal ball here. What player do you think is going to break out this season?
I think it's Paolo Banchero, and you're probably saying, wait a minute, how does a guy who made an all-star game and just signed a $239 million extension fit here? And Malika, I look at the body of work in the beginning of the season. I think there's another gear for where Paolo can go, certainly on the court in this Orlando team that has gotten significantly better. How about a top 15 player next year in the NBA? I think he can potentially get to that level there. So for me, Paolo Banchero could be the breakout player for next season for an Orlando team that has certainly a lot of expectations.
I like it. Mr. MacMahon.
First of all, crystal bald was just rude to Bobby, Malika, okay? That was not nice.
I didn't even hear that. I didn't even hear that.
Listen, I'm going to go out on
we love you.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this #1 overall pick from a few years ago, who's unlike any talent that we've ever seen, is going to have a breakout year. Knock on wood that Victor Wembanyama stays healthy. We have seen that he can be the most dominant defensive player in the league. Offensively, he's still just scratching the surface of his potential as a 7'5" fluid athlete with touch. I mean, you see, the guy can dunk it from anywhere on the floor, much less score from anywhere on the floor. I think Wemby, the ascension to All-NBA, first-team All-NBA, can he get the Spurs in the playoff picture? If so, we're going to talk about him as an MVP candidate.
Absolutely. There's a very fluid definition here of breakthrough. I'm going to go with Andrew Nembhard. If he can play the way that he did in the NBA Finals, what's the face for here, Iman?
I like it. I like it.
And if he can play the way that they did in the Finals, think that he's going to have a bigger role here with Tyrese Halliburton out and so many injuries here for the Pacers and things changing over. I really think that we could be talking about him as having a bigger, more permanent role if we see what we saw in the Finals.
Without a doubt, he impressed me.
Yeah,
the
me
whole
too.
Finals, the whole playoffs, really.
And we've seen him as a defensive force, a complementary player. We're going to see him with the ball in his hands as the Pacers point guard this year.